Gabriel Bonfim fights Khaos Williams this weekend at UFC Fight Night, Cannonier vs Rodriguez, and we're going to look at it. Each week I'm going to pick a fight that's on the card that's coming up and break it down. So today I picked Gabriel Bonfim vs Khaos Williams, and the reason I picked this is because it's not even on the main card. If you look at all the fights on the main card, maybe bar the Carb and Cater one, this should be on it more than them. Gabriel Bonfim's brother, Ismail Bonfim, who I don't even think is as good as Gabriel Bonfim, is on the main card, but he isn't. And I think Khaos Williams and Gabriel Bonfim, out of every single person on the main card, bar the top two fights, are the closest to getting to the rankings. So I'm a bit confused why it's not on the main card. I think it's going to be such a good fight, and I'm so excited to see how it goes down. I think the matchmaking on this fight is perfect, absolutely perfect. The same way I break down a fighter each week I'm going to pick a fight and then break it down. The reason I have chose this fight though is obviously because I think it should be on the main card, but I really like Gabriel Bonfim. So let's start with him. Before he even got to the UFC, he was obviously smashing everyone, undefeated, but his last fight in LFA, he likes to win fights in the first round, as most people probably know, but the way he does it, he just puts so much pressure on. In this fight in LFA, he just put loads of pressure on, and then the sub he got in the LFA fight was like a dart. He jumped the dart, but he was on his back in guard, and you don't see that often at all, which just shows how high level his jits is. And then obviously his Dana White Contender Series fight, he's fighting someone who's 6'5". His jab was so good, and that's what you've got to remember, that for this fight his jab was so good. Don't get me wrong, when he throws his left hook, he leaves his chin up a bit, but he has kind of worked on that as the fights have gone on. His timing on the shot was perfect, but then his opponent pulled the guillotine. He past the guard, past the legs, and got his Ezekiel choke. You don't see Ezekiel chokes that often, unless your name's over and St. Prove, but to see it on the Dana White Contender Series shows his guillotine defense is so good, and then he can attack from there, and he works out, oh, if you're not letting go of this guillotine, fine, I'll just sub you. And then moving on to all his UFC fights, other than the Dalby fight and his most recent fight, he's finishing early. He's 3-1 in the UFC. In his first fight, the same thing, loads of pressure. He applies so much pressure in that first round. In the first 2 minutes, to be honest, amazing combos, got such good combos, works the calf kicks, and then he uses that nasty guillotine, got the finish in his first fight. Moving on to the Trevor Giles fight, and I think people thought this was going to be a little bit of a test for him. Same again, loads of pressure, works his wrestling, there's the guillotine, gets the finish. He's got a nasty guillotine, so watch out for that this weekend. I know Khaos Williams, I don't think he's been subbed ever, but he definitely has been subbed in the UFC, so keep an eye out for that, because maybe Bonfim can test his grappling. But the Dalby fight, that to me was quite telling. He definitely got fatigued, which is alright, every fighter gets fatigued, but it kind of showed that Dalby just took all that pressure in the first round and the first bit of the second round, and then once he had took that pressure, Bonfim kind of gassed out, his arms were probably knackered, and he was just letting Dalby hit him with loads of shots. Don't get me wrong, his wrestling was so good in that fight, his jit was amazing, he's so good at passing guard, and he is so good at staying on top. He works his way nicely to knee on belly, lands loads of hard shots, but in that Dalby fight, Dalby just took it, and I'm thinking, can Khaos Williams just take all that pressure, which I think he can. He took Michel Pereira to a decision. I know he obviously lost, but took Randy Brown to a decision, which we'll go over in a bit. But what I think is going to be telling in this fight is if Khaos Williams can withstand the pressure of Bonfim. His pressure is so aggressive in that first round. Dalby did withstand it, and then look at the size of Dalby's massive. He landed pretty nice knees, loads of shots, and did end up finishing him. Into Bonfim's last fight though, against Lusa, same again, Lusa's massive, but it was actually the other way around. I thought he paced himself really well in this fight. Lusa kind of came out and done loads and loads of wrestling in that first round. I think he got 4 takedowns, but he attempted 8 or 9 takedowns, and Bonfim didn't panic. His jit is so good. On a lot of the takedowns too, he'd get straight back up. And then second round, he really worked the body. His body hooks and his body kicks were so good. His tie clinch was amazing. His knees up the middle was so good. So that's two big things to look out for in this fight. The body work of Bonfim and his knees up the middle and his knees in the tie clinch. He was so good, and that was definitely, in my opinion, his best performance to date. Because that performance there is better than all them performances where he wins in the first round in the first minute. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing. But like as an overall performance, he showed that he can come through adversity in that first round when Lucia was taking him down loads and he was getting up. He didn't get fatigued like he did in the Derby fight, and he stayed at it, stayed hard, and he was hitting some nasty wrestling on Lucia too. So I think Bonfim is a real threat for the welterweight division, and I do think he's going to win this fight. I think it will be by decision. I don't think he will knock Khaos Williams out. But then if we look at Khaos Williams, he's got nasty power. Nasty power. He's stepping in for Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov was meant to fight Bonfim. And I think even then I'd still probably pick Bonfim to beat Fakhretdinov, because I didn't really like Fakhretdinov's performance in his last fight. Everyone obviously thought he lost, but he did manage to get the win. But Khaos Williams, the perfect place to look, I think, is the Randy Brown fight, because I think Randy Brown's probably the highest level he's fought so far. And don't get me wrong, he dropped Randy Brown, I think twice. Definitely dropped him in that third round, but the second round was the telling one for me. Randy Brown used his jab so well, constantly hit Khaos Williams with the jab. I think Bonfim's jab is just as good, don't get me wrong. Bonfim's not as tall as Randy Brown. I think he's like an inch or two smaller, but still he is bigger than Khaos Williams, and his reach is a bit longer. So I think Bonfim will use that as a game plan, to use that jab. You see it so much more common now, like Sean Strickland, how good his jab is. It just shows the level of a good jab, and I think Bonfim's jab is really good, really high level. So keep an eye out for that. But in the Randy Brown fight, that first round, I thought it was very close, but Khaos Williams was catching Randy Brown with big overhands. In the third round, he dropped him. So Khaos Williams has the power. He is nasty right hand. Look what he done to Harris in his recent fight. That was nasty. Shut his lights out. And Harris looked hurt when he dropped him first round as well. So I think this fight will either go to decision or it'll be a first round knockout to either person. I'm not entirely sure who will win if it's a first round knockout. I think it could definitely go either way. But my prediction is Bonfim by decision. I think Bonfim's really going to use the wrestling a lot. I think Khaos Williams, he's got, both of them have nasty leg kicks to be honest, but in the Randy Brown fight, they're getting checked very easy. So to me, that says that he's not very good at setting them up, or doesn't hide them that well. But maybe Randy Brown was just on it with his checks that day. And Bonfim, though, he can definitely get caught. He does slightly leave his chin up sometimes. But both of these fighters are so good. I really like watching both of their fights. I love watching Khaos Williams and Bonfim, the way that they can knock out their opponent. I watch fighters where I'm like Strickland on the weekend. I had no thought in my mind that he would knock out Du Plessis. But both of these fighters, they can definitely knock out each other. So I think it'll be a great fight. I think it'll be an on the edge of your seat fight where you're like, oh, every time someone gets a big shot landed to them. I think someone will definitely drop someone. But my prediction is Bonfim by decision, and I am going to go that Bonfim wins because he uses the wrestling. His grappling is so high level. I think he'll just stay on top for a lot of the round. I think if Khaos Williams lands a shot on him, dead hard shot, I think he'll then shoot in, not panic wrestle, but just wrestle to get away from the pressure and try and recover. And then I think he'll kind of work his magic on the floor. So let me know what you think. Are you excited for this fight? And I'll see you later.